All right. Hope y'all had a nice break. And now we have another activity that Holly's going to introduce for us.
All right, can you all hear me? Okay. All right, so what we're gonna do is you all have a butterfly mask at your table. And if you don't, raise your hand and we'll come bring you one. And you're all gonna have to share some markers and colored pencils because this is lovely that all of you are here, but we didn't anticipate this many people. So you're all gonna have to share. But what I want you to do on your masks is, and I apologize for not having an example, but on one side, I want you to create how you see yourself. And on the other side, I want you to create how you want others to see you. Okay?
Oh, and we got strings.
Everyone got it?
Let's see, and I got to give y'all strings.
All right, raise your hand and we'll come around and bring more masks if you need them.
Yeah, I'm trying to do that.
Yeah.
Do you want to give out strings?
So one side is how you see yourself. The other side is how you want others to see you.
Can you undo that? Now, as you're doing your masks, you know, like Holly said, on one side, it's how you see yourself. On the other side, it's how you want to see yourself. So when you're doing this, and when you're thinking about how you want to see yourself, I want you to think about what steps are you going to take to get there, right? And also, I want you to think about in what ways are you already there? In what aspects, you know, you want to see yourself in a certain way. Well, in what aspects do you feel you're already there? And in those areas which are room for growth, what are some ways in which how to get there? So I want y'all to think about that, and then in a little bit we'll talk about that. But right now you can decorate your masks. So as you're making your masks, I figured maybe we could throw it out to y'all if anyone wants to share, right? Because we're talking about how we see ourselves and how we would like to see ourselves, and what aspects of ourselves do we feel are already there, and what are some steps that we would like to take? Maybe leaving this conference, what might we do differently to help us grow? And what might we say, hey, these areas I've got that good, right? So is anyone kind of want to share about that, like what they're thinking about and what steps they might want to take? Oh, over here.
I'm drawing like some grass because I want people to like see me as like grounded and nature, or like outdoorsy and naturey.
Okay, so you want to see yourself as nature and grounded. Okay, so then can you tell us in what ways are you already doing that, and what other steps might you want to take to get there?
Like I already like going on hikes, but I could go on more hikes and like try camping, even though I'm not gonna do that. Like try like, you know, I could get a group together to go camping or something, or like.
Excellent.
Yeah, spend more
that
time
sounds like
outside.
Okay,
Yeah.
you go next.
Yeah, over here.
Hi, I'm Sarah. Sometimes because we're tiny and people could kind of like glance back at us, I would like to be seen as everybody else is, an adult, a person, and sometimes being an adult in a smaller person's body, they tend not to, they overlook us.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's like, go shopping, and the people will walk in front of me and just be like, oh, you don't mind waiting, right?
Yep. You want to be seen just like everybody else.
Great, and we're all have time, and I'll go ahead.
So what are some steps that, you know, because obviously maybe you see yourself like everyone else, because we're all human. We are like everyone else. We're all human. So what steps do you think you can take to maybe, because we don't have control if someone looks or tries to step in front of us, but if you want to be seen like everyone else or want,
guess
to,
that's what I'm trying to figure out. Is like,
okay.
when I was younger, I handled it poorly. I'd be like, well, my mommy's at home, where's yours? You know, kind of really sarcastic, because
Okay.
they go like,
Or-
where's your mommy?
Or what about, like what we talked about in terms of setting boundaries, meaning, hey, I'm sorry, excuse me, I believe I was here first.
Yep,
You know,
being
I've had to say
assertive
that a
and,
ton of
and
times.
advocating for yourself.
Yeah,
Yep.
self-advocacy is a way of, if you want to see yourself like everyone else, and if you want to be treated like everyone else, that self-advocacy and setting boundaries is crucial.
Yeah.
Oh,
You also have to treat yourself like you want others to treat you. If you want them to
Yep.
respect you, you have to treat yourself better so they can see your goodness.
Yep.
whoops. So does anyone else want to share? Oh, over here? Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Does anyone else want to share? Oh, yeah, that's right, you did. Oh, over here. Yes.
Well, I just wanted to share that quite a number of years ago, we were having one of our TS meetings, and it was like, there was this flyer about, Turner Syndrome camp for teenagers. And I'm like, I never got to go to Turner Syndrome camp. And then I'm like, well, why can't we plan one of our own? And so I did, and there was, I forget, it was like 8 to 10 of us, gals with TS, and we did this overnight, and there was this guide who had us do a challenge course, and we did this ropes climbing thing, and the guide asked us before we climbed how far that we each thought that we could get. And in each and every case, we climbed high, including a woman who had a prosthetic hand. We all climbed higher than we thought we could.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful point, and that's why on the part of the mask where we're writing how we want to see ourselves, that's so important, that you want to see yourself as, yes, I can climb high, I can, I can adapt and I can do that. And so it's important to have that resiliency and take those steps. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I guess I'll go ahead and share. So, on mine, so how I see myself, most of it's positive. Most of it's positive, like strong, independent, talented, worth it, thoughtful, accomplished, but, a few not so, like, broken and complete.
So she said strong, independent, confident, talented.
But also, yeah, broken, incomplete, slow, bitter, and tired at times.
Broken, incomplete, slow, bitter, tired at times.
But help with the feelings of, help with the feelings of feeling bitter and tired. Well, sometimes, okay, when I talk to my close loved ones about, like, when I feel kind of like bitter and tired, I don't know, it seems like a lot of people are like, oh, well, you just need to focus on the good things. Just focus on the good things in your life. You don't want to just focus on the negative things. But feeling bitter and tired doesn't necessarily mean I never see the good things. Because trust me, I think about the good things in my life a lot. And I think we just need to remember having life with TS is hard. And we have the right to acknowledge that.
Yep.
And
And
there's no shame with acknowledging that.
And it's, we tend to focus on the bad things, right? We need to shift and focus on the good things.
I like that. And Gina, you had something you wanted to share.
Sure, well, I don't know which to go with first. I hope people see me as being I use blue to be calm and peaceful and orderly and things like that. But on my day-to-day life, why do I feel like it's just a chaos? of
Okay.
Circles and squiggles. But a big heart in the middle, which I didn't finish yet. for love.
Well, so Gina, how, because you're saying you see, you have the squiggles, but a lot of heart, but you want also that calm. So what are some steps that you might take to get to that calm for yourself?
That kind of goes back to my first activity
Yeah.
of playing with my puppy, loving on grandkids,
Yep.
gardening. I use like,
No, that's good. Use as many, that's good.
calling a friend, baking. That's always so cathartic.
Yeah,
Because you start something and you finish it.
yeah.
Exercise helps calm me down. Going for a walk. Music, reading, cleaning. I don't know why, but I really get into it when
Hey, whatever works.
taking a shower or a bath.
Okay,
Just
yeah.
gets rid of that. Praying and taking pictures.
Wonderful.
So anyway, they kind of go hand in hand. I bet you planned it that way.
So we want to take steps, right? Because there's a lot of things of how we want to see ourselves or how we want other people to see us. And as Gina's illustrating, the main thing is to set goals to do that for yourself, right? To have a little bit of a plan and work on, like, we can't do a 180, but do a little bit each day.
But we also want to set realistic goals, right? Like, it's unrealistic if I say, I want to be a rockette, right? That's never going to happen. But a goal of maybe learning a new recipe or, right?
Or it might
Yeah,
be,
can
I'm
still-
still going
can
to
still
dance.
dance,
I'm still
right?
going to take dance classes, and maybe
Yep.
we'll have, and then a dance class, I'll be in a show. I'll be in the recital or
Yep.
whatever. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. As Frank was it his song? I did it my way. So, and that's the key, right? We might not, like you said, you might not be able to be a rockette, but guess what? We can dance, and and we can sing, we can do all of those things.
So we're doing good on time. It is
Yeah.
3:17.
So what do we want to have some more sharing?
Yeah, do you want to do like questions or stuff and then?
Sure. As y'all are doing your mess, does anyone have any questions that they want to bring up? Oh, over there, Donna.
I've kind of described, like, my comfort zone as being about this big. Postage stamp size. I really would like to get some specific ideas. How do I make my comfort zone? Like, I didn't even try that. And like, now, why the heck didn't you at least try? Well, it's not my comfort zone. How do you go about increasing your comfort zone?
That's a great question. So she asked, how do you increase your comfort zone?
Well, and first of all is accepting that, guess what? Sometimes we are going to be out of our comfort zone. We are, and we're going to be uncomfortable. And so, but we have to we have to ask ourselves, what's important to us? What's meaningful to us? Is it, is expressing ourselves or doing the activity or whatever it is that we're trying to accomplish more valuable or more important than shutting ourselves down, right? And sometimes that can help. I can work through the discomfort knowing that, hey, but this is kind of valuable, so maybe I need to accept that I'm going to be uncomfortable and give it a shot, because it doesn't have to be perfect, right? We want progress, not perfection.
Like playing a piece on the piano. When I make a mistake, I stop.
See, and the
How you get better?
no, and the thing is being willing to, you don't like messing up the piece, but then being able to say, okay, well, what's more meaningful to me? Is it more meaningful to make music and to play the piano, or is the fear or the shutdown? And if we really think about it, I can see it makes you sad if you can't, that you're not making the music. So you know what? I'd rather make imperfect music, but make music, and so that sometimes can push us out of the comfort zone. Remind yourself, why are you doing it? What's it for?
We kind of have to do our own exposure therapy, right? Because the more and more you do it and push yourself, the easier it's going to get. And you'll slowly expand that comfort zone.
Yeah, but I also think baby steps is really good and expand comfort zone.
Yep.
This, like we're not able to get to the phone, so play a little bit,
Yep.
stop, come back to it, play a little bit more.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe you work on one little part of the piece at a time, right? And then you feel good, you get that confidence. Oh, I got this first little part right. Great. Let me try the next one.
Baby steps.
Yeah. Oh, over here?
People see us as we want to be seen, not as they see us like strong instead of short or something like that. How do we?
Well, I think part of it is really how we behave in a lot of ways, right? Because if I don't feel comfortable or if I don't feel strong and my body language is kind of showing like, oh, then other people are going to maybe have a misperception. But if I go in and act, and be myself, then at first, I don't know what people think. Maybe they'll think, oh, she's short, they see what they see. But if I come in and act myself, then they're going to learn. They're going to see, oh, I kind of misjudged that,
And fun fact, 93% of the way we communicate is not through our words.
Yeah.
93%. That's a high percentage. So that means that we're communicating through our body language and our tone of voice.
Yeah, so pay attention, is your body language open and showing approachability, or is it showing closed and defensive and leave me alone, even though that's not what we want. But so notice, is your body tensing up, or is it open? Are you making eye contact? Are you smiling? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yep.
My comfort zone is always with the same women, and so when Dr. Mooney challenged us to go and meet other people, I did this time, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be.
Aw, good job, Glenna.
yay.
Thank you for sharing that. She said Dr. Mooney challenged to meet new people, and it wasn't as bad as she thought it was.
Yeah, I love that. And there was a lot to gain from that. You met some interesting new people, and absolutely, which you wouldn't have had that experience if you only stick to what you know.
Something that just that stayed with me that a friend had told me, an old coworker, we were just talking about why we ended up connecting, and after our work situation changed, why we were still connected or whatever. And she said something one day about, initially you were comfortable in your own skin. And that always resonated with me, that by just being okay with me, she felt that I would accept her as well. And, life doesn't have to be perfect, but there's something about just, that wording, comfortable in your own skin, just always stayed with me.
Lovely. Oh, I think we have in the back there. You're saying it's.
What are some tips to expressing your boundaries to people? I find it really hard to initiate that conversation or let people know, hey, that was really
Yep, so she asked about tips on
kind of setting boundaries.
setting boundaries.
Letting people know that maybe she didn't like something that they did or said, right? Is that, yeah.
Tips on
Yep.
How to set that boundary, how to tell them or ask them not to do it.
How to say no, basically. Yeah. So in a polite, assertive, respectful way of, no thank you, or that doesn't really sound like something I'm interested in, or,
Yeah. And you can use words like,
that's my final decision.
yeah, or if you don't like what someone did, hey, and you can use your own words like, I feel, fill in the blank, whatever you
Yep.
feel.
I statements.
That you said this or that you do this, and in the future, I'd appreciate it if you would handle it this other way, right?
I just wanted to add something to that because I've been working on my self-boundaries too. And just say that boundaries are for yourself. So the thing is that somebody doesn't keep the boundary for you, you have to keep the boundary for yourself.
She said if someone doesn't keep the boundary for you, you have to keep it for yourself.
Well, boundaries are for yourself. They're not.
Then follow through and don't do it.
Because and the idea is boundaries are actually for us. It's not for anyone else. It's really for us. I'm happy with my boundaries. They're for me.
And people are going to get upset. They're not going to like it, especially if in the past they've been allowed to cross those boundaries time after time.
Yeah.
But what
They're gonna
Mara's
push-
right, what she said, it's not about them, it's about you,
And
right?
you just have to kind of dig your own heels in and stick to your guns. They're not going to like it, but it is what it is.
You don't. You're absolutely right. You don't have to explain.
No, you don't owe them, oh, well, it's this, it's that. It's just no.
Therapist had told me that if by setting those boundaries, those people are no longer in your life, then they don't need to be in your life anymore.
That's right. Woo. That's 100%. If someone doesn't respect your boundaries, they don't need to be in your life. And
You have a good therapist.
and some of us, unfortunately, for some people, that pushback and that difficulty, unfortunately, sometimes can involve our families. So even with our families, we need to set boundaries. And sometimes, yes, sometimes that means, well, if you're not going to respect the boundary, then maybe this phone call will have to end, or maybe visits will have to be a little bit different, maybe a little bit shorter, things like that.
I was going to say, one of the things that I put online for people was serious. And I've learned that it's not so much that I'm serious, I've learned that it's the spontaneity. Like, I used to think that that was an issue, like, what is wrong? Why can't I, just be spontaneous? But I've learned through this conference that that's normal for us. Like, we have to warm up to things. So, I'm gonna work on that.
Oh, yay. I'm so proud of your courage and what you're saying, because it is sometimes painful and hard to work on that. It's easier said than done. So I'm so glad that you're working on that. And you know what? You've got a lot of sisters that have your back, so. Oh, did you want to say something?
I was just gonna add too that sometimes if somebody's really pushing with boundaries, you may have to kind of level up and get firm, and it's not easy. But I have been in the positions, like you said, with family, where I literally had to say, this is not negotiable, or this is the way it is. And they kept pushing, and I just stopped the conversation to let them know that I was serious. So I didn't respond to the texts. So sometimes you're unfortunately put in those positions by others where maybe they realize what they're doing, but it's just not nice. But maybe they don't. It doesn't matter. You just have to stand up for yourself too.
Yep. But
Oh,
also keeping boundaries with yourself, right? Like, how many of you have stayed late after work, right? Or worked on a special project if your boss asked you, or worked through your lunch or your break, right? got there early, picked up a shift.
Oh, double shifts, someone
Oh,
said.
whew, right? Keeping boundaries with yourself, taking care of yourself.
Yeah. Like, don't say, oh, maybe this one time. Because one time, guess what happens? It leads to 2 times, to 3 times.
And then it becomes a habit, and
Yeah.
then it's hard to break.
I'm a nurse at a nursing home. So sometimes because of the way professionalism is supposed to be presented and the way the job goes, it can make it difficult to set certain boundaries or even just take care of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be really hard, especially in the helping profession, to take care of yourself. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm just curious on how others, I feel like a lot of my life are not taken seriously by like peers and the others that are around me. Like how do others handle that and take steps forward to kind of combat that?
I have a bad answer to that. I'm getting a doctorate degree, so they have to take me seriously.
yeah. And again, I think it's all about how you present yourself, right? Whether we look like we have graduate degrees or not, we do, and we need to kind of present ourselves as such, right? So if we want to be taken seriously, we also need to make sure, again, with the nonverbals and how we dress and how, our body language is. If we show that with our body language, the confidence, and we back it up with the knowledge and the talent that we have, it'll come, So I think to remember, as long as we stay true to ourselves, eventually the people around us will get it. They'll see it.
I have a question for those of you who are in the workforce or working, because 2 years ago, my employer decided to reopen the office building, and I started on a split schedule or a hybrid schedule, teleworking 3 days and going in the office for 2. Especially on those days when I'm in the office, it's very intense because you have your employer on your back. You're working and doing stuff. And, you may also, and I know I have this in my case, have executive functioning problems, so you're trying to manage your time. So it's very difficult, when they're like, okay, can you do this, and then you have, this other thing to do too.
So
Just kind of handling it all.
So that would go back to setting boundaries, right? Saying no. Sounds like maybe taking on too much.
Well, I mean, it is just kind of setting boundaries because I think it's kind of hard to recognize because, as far as from the employer's perspective, they're coming at it from the angle, like if you take things, they like that, because, but then they're like, oh, we see, we see you're doing whatever. So it's hard for you from the other side to say like, okay, just
Yep.
delegating.
Yeah, if you've already exceeded their expectations, right, and you've already kind of set that standard, it's hard to go back and say no. And
Just managing what you're able to, because your employer will come at you and go, and by the way, like, can you do this? And there are some situations where, some stuff takes priority, at least to them. So it's just delegating, okay, what really needs to get done, and what can you just say, okay,
yep,
I know you have those 2 days, and I think part of it is a mind game because you feel like you have to, get it done.
get it done. Yep. Yep. Yeah, that's exactly right. Prioritizing, right? Prioritizing what needs to be done.
And prioritizing is another type of boundary in a way, right? Because we're deciding what's now and what's not now, right? And what's more important, what's the most important and what's not. Oh, over, Julie?
You know, I think, you know, when we talk about boundaries, I think all these things are good and important, what's being said, but I also get concerned and, you know, I've had people shut me out of their lives and it doesn't feel good. And I think we have enough unforgiveness and disunity in the world that when we set our boundaries, we also have to remember to give other people gentleness, grace, forgiveness, and all that.
Right, I mean, setting a boundary doesn't mean cutting someone out of your life, but, so, you know, but if a person can respect it and then maybe even come back and, hey, I apologize, I probably shouldn't have said or done such and such, I'm sorry that I didn't consider whatever, you know, those, then yes, we can think about forgiveness. It's just that, you know, there's that fine line, because then when someone is constantly doing that, then maybe that's, you know, maybe that's not a great person to be around. You know, it's one thing to forgive someone who, okay, yes, let's give them a chance. Let's, you know, we all mess up, so we can do that. But it's when someone is repeatedly taking advantage or trying to cross boundaries, then, yeah, we need to then see how we want to respond.
Yep, it may look like, you know, I'm sorry, that's not something I can really do right now, right? Or that's not something I can commit to, or I'd really love to help you out, but I'm just not available.
Just because we were talking about this earlier, like, and it happened to me, like, my sister had to establish boundaries with me, and, like, it really hurt, but, like, boundaries can move. And not, like, just because this is the boundary now, doesn't mean you can't, there's not some door that you if you're listening to them, as long as you listen to what they say, and then try and show them, you know, you show them yourself. You can prove yourself to anybody. And if you're listening to what they say, that's what they're looking for. That's all they're looking for, is just for you to listen. And they,
Because if it's a good, you know, if it's a good relationship, then that means in relationships, they're what we call ruptures and repairs, right? So what you're talking about is kind of like a rupture, right? Because there was a boundary issue and your sisters, you know, got upset, and then so there was a rupture. But the repair happened because you probably apologized and you started to respect kind of the boundary more, and then that allows y'all to repair, and
you know, like, she only wants to use text or whatever. So I don't talk, you know, I use WhatsApp. That's how she wants to communicate. I don't worry about, like, if I'm a callie person, I forget that.
But you have other people that you can call, right? So you can get your needs, get that need to call met in other ways. And
I had a friend.
I can call her if I really need to.
I had a friend that would constantly call me at like 2 in the morning, and I had to set that boundary and be like, I have to work in the morning. Like, that's not okay. You can't be doing this. And guess what? They got upset with me, and that's kind of where the friendship ended, right? And if they're not going to respect my boundaries, do I really need this person in my life? Were they really a true friend to begin with if they're going to constantly, you know, try to break those boundaries? Yeah.
How do you know if, like, the people in your life are going to, like, are respecting your boundaries or are there for your best interest?
Well, I mean, she kept doing it when I told her not to.
So that doesn't sound...
That's a big sign.
So that's exactly how we'll know, because either they'll do it or they won't, or they'll keep repeating it. And if they keep repeating it, that's disrespect. That's, that's not healthy. And if they do honor it, okay, then there's room for repair and forgiveness, because you got heard and you got seen, right? Because none of us are perfect, and we all have different levels of boundaries. The issue is, let's not keep repeating, let's not keep doing it if someone tells you not to do it, right? Or we tell someone else, we don't want them to do it. Oh, over there?
I think people often think of boundaries and like setting limitations with others as something negative, and people often take it personal, but it's for that person who's setting that boundaries and limits for their own well-being and for their own mental health and their benefit, not necessarily for the others, and it's not an attack upon the other person, it's just protecting the person who's setting those boundaries and limits.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be a negative thing, right? Like, when my toddler's, like, bugging the crap out of me and I need to, like, take a minute, right? Take a few minutes. That's also modeling good boundaries, right? Like, just knowing yourself well enough to be like, okay, I need to step back and I need to go use my skills that I have.
What do you do if your manager doesn't seem to post information to everybody? Here's my situation. I'm in the healthcare, and I was asked a question about what something was. And I told them what I knew, and I was confident. And my manager happened to be there, and said, no, it's this. So I said to my manager, I said, when did this happen? Oh, well, this person told us it's this. Well, did you pass that information? So I'm trying to not look like an idiot. And here, not because of something I did, but something because he withheld information. How do you deal with that?
Well, that's something you don't really have control over, right? If someone communicates or doesn't communicate with you, but what do you have control over? How you communicate, right? So she was asking, there was a manager that was withholding information from her.
But I don't think it was from me specifically.
Well, he's just not a good communicator,
Right.
probably, is
Right.
what the issue is. And it affected her in this particular situation. And we don't have control over whether the manager communicates or not, but we do have control over how we respond.
Yep. So I think we are running out of time.
Okay.
So we're going to, let's see, how are we doing on time? Yeah. So we're going to end with another mindfulness exercise.
Yeah. Because we know it's been a lot, and there can be a lot of feelings that have come up, and so just a way to we talk about soothing ourselves and
Okay. All right. So get to a comfortable position. All right. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable. As you rest here, I'd like for you to imagine your most favorite place in the whole world. Maybe it's somewhere you've traveled to before, or somewhere you've always wanted to go. Maybe it's a warm, sunny beach, or a giant forest with crisp, clean mountain air. Maybe it's a home that's sentimental to you. I want you to imagine yourself in this place at your favorite time of the year. What is the season like here? And then imagine it is your favorite time of day. Breathe in the air. What is the temperature of the air on your skin? How does the light touch and reflect off of different surfaces. Is there a distinct smell that's in the air? Imagine yourself walking slowly through this place, your favorite place, noticing all of the little details and savoring your presence here. Eventually, you find a comfortable place to rest. Imagine yourself taking plenty of time to get as comfortable as possible, and then begin to unwind in this spot. Notice which parts of your body touch the support beneath you, allowing yourself to be completely supported in this safe space. As you rest in this place, imagine that you are free of all the things that no longer serve you, free of bad habits, free of toxic relationships, and free of tough circumstances. Release all of your limiting beliefs about yourself and of the world. And remember that everything you need to maintain a state of peace and contentment is already within you. Everything you need to live a life where you lead with love is already within. You are healthy, strong, and capable just as you are. Simply be. That is enough. And as you settle into this deep wisdom of inner knowing, begin to repeat to yourself with each breath. Inhale, trust. Exhale, surrender. Inhale, trust. Exhale, surrender. Continue repeating this mantra to yourself for the next few breaths. Inhale, trust. Exhale, surrender. Inhale, trust. Exhale, surrender. After your next exhale, release the words. Acknowledge that this sacred place is always available to you in your heart and in your mind when you need to return to a sense of peace and contentment. And now begin to deepen your breath. Wiggle fingers and toes, bringing your awareness back into this space. All right, that's our presentation.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
Oh, do you want to put the other slide? That one? Yeah. And here is our, both of our emails, and so please feel free to contact either one of us.